Welcome back. Today we're diving into a real giant in personal development.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, it came out way back in 1989.
hmm Quite a while ago now.
So you might be thinking, with all the new stuff out there, is it still relevant?
It's a fair question.
But I think if you're looking to build something real, something with genuine impact, the answer's just a resounding yes.
Absolutely. It's foundational.
This isn't just like a list of productivity tips. It's much deeper. It's a whole philosophy, really, centered on principles for living a life with integrity.
And real impact. That's the key.
We're going to try and unpack why it sold, over 40 million copies and why it still changes lives.
Yeah, and what's really revolutionary right from the get-go is how Covey challenges this idea he calls the personality ethic.
Right.
For ages, self-help was all about techniques, charm, looking good on the surface, quick fixes.
Image management, sort of.
Exactly. But Covey says, hold on, real effectiveness, the kind that actually lasts, that doesn't come from the outside in.
It comes from the inside out.
Precisely. From your character, from aligning yourself with timeless principles.
So things like fairness, integrity.
Honesty, human dignity, the big stuff. He argues that's where true power lies, not in manipulating appearances.
And the 7 habits then become the roadmap, the practical guide to building that kind of character-centered life.
That's the idea. It sounds simple, but living it is.
Oh.
Well, it's profound.
Okay. And the structure's pretty neat, too, isn't it? Not just a random list.
No, definitely not. It's brilliantly structured. 3 phases that build on each other.
Which are?
First, you've got the private victory that's mastering yourself. Then the public victory mastering relationships. And finally, renewal, which is about keeping it all going.
Okay, private victory first. Makes sense. Start with yourself. Habit 1, be proactive.
Yeah, this is the absolute bedrock.
What does it really mean, though, being proactive?
At its core, it's recognizing that between what happens to you, the stimulus, and how you respond, there's the space.
A gap.
A gap, exactly. And in that space is your power, your freedom to choose your response.
Yeah.
Life throws stuff at you, right?
Constantly.
But you decide how you react. And a huge part of this is his concept of the circle of influence.
Ah, yes. Focusing your energy.
Right. Focus on what you can actually control or influence instead of wasting energy worrying or complaining about things in your wider circle of concern that you can't change.
And the interesting thing is, when you focus on that circle of influence,
It tends to expand, right? You become more capable. It's about taking responsibility, not blaming circumstances or other people.
that shift, just that one idea from being reactive to proactive,
Yeah,
it's huge. It changes everything if you really get it.
it really does.
Okay, so once you've owned that power to choose, habit 2 logically follows. Begin with the end in mind.
Yeah. And this is where he brings in that, well, maybe slightly morbid but powerful exercise.
The funeral exercise.
That's the one. Imagine your own funeral. What do you want people to honestly say about you? What did you stand for?
It's not really about death, though, is it? It's about life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It forces you to think about your ultimate purpose, what really matters. This habit is all about defining your personal mission statement.
Like your own constitution.
Kind of, yeah. Your
Yeah.
core values, your long-term vision, it becomes your internal compass guiding your choices. Make sure your ladder's leaning against the right wall before you start climbing.
Okay, compass set. Now, habit 3. Put first things first. This feels like the execution phase.
It absolutely is. This is where the rubber meets the road. But crucially, it's priority management based on habit 2, not just time management.
Ah, okay. Good difference.
Huge difference. And this is where his famous time management matrix comes in, that 4-quadrant grid.
Quadrant 2 is the goal, right? Important, but not urgent.
That's the sweet spot. Things like planning, relationship building, exercise, learning, preparation, the stuff that prevents crises but doesn't scream for immediate attention.
But it's so easy to get sucked into quadrant 3. Urgent and important. Crisis mode.
Or quadrant 3,
Hmm.
urgent but not important. Lots of interruptions, some meetings. It feels busy, but isn't actually moving you towards your goals.
And quadrant 4 is just.
Waste, basically.
Yeah.
Trivia, time wasters. Covey argues effective people minimize 3rd and 4, hand a lie, but really focus on growing too.
And that's the big rocks idea too, isn't it?
Yeah, the demonstration. Got an empty jar. Put the big rocks, your most important priorities based on habit 2 in first.
Your quadrant 2 activities.
Right. Then the gravel, the sand, the water, the smaller, less important things they can fit in around the big rocks.
But if you put the sand and gravel in first,
No room for the big rocks. You run out of time and energy for what truly matters. It's about prioritizing based on importance, not just urgency. That's the core of the private victory.
okay, so mastering yourself first. Proactive, end in mind, first things first, then you move outward.
Exactly. You've built that foundation of character and self-discipline. Now you're ready for the public victory effective relationships.
Which starts with habit 4. Think win-win.
Yeah, and this really challenges that default mindset a lot of us have.
The scarcity mentality.
That's it. The idea that life's a zero-sum game. For me to win more, you have to lose. There's only so much pie to go around.
But Covey says think differently.
He pushes for an abundance mindset, the belief that there's plenty out there for everybody. Success doesn't have to come at someone else's expense.
So win-win isn't just compromise where everyone loses a bit.
No, that's different. Win-win seeks solutions that are genuinely mutually beneficial. Everyone walks away feeling good about the outcome because it meets their needs.
In relationships, business deals, negotiations.
Everywhere. It's about cooperation, not competition, as the primary mode. It builds trust like nothing else. Sometimes you might even find a win-win, or no deal is the best approach if a mutual win isn't possible.
Protects the relationship long term.
Absolutely. Which leads perfectly into habit 5. And this one, wow, this can be a game changer for communication.
Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah. And Covey's point is sharp. Most of us don't listen with the intent to understand.
We listen with the intent to reply, right? We're just waiting for our turn to talk, planning our response.
Exactly. Habit 5 is about empathetic listening. Truly trying to see the world through the other person's eyes. Understand their perspective, their feelings, their needs before you present your own case.
Like a doctor diagnosing before prescribing.
Perfect analogy. You wouldn't trust a doctor who prescribed without understanding the symptoms, right? Same in communication. Understand deeply first. It diffuses so much conflict and builds incredible connection.
It takes effort, though. Real listening is hard work.
It is. It requires you to suspend your own agenda for a bit. But the payoff in terms of trust and effective problem solving is immense.
Okay, so we're thinking win-win, we're listening deeply. What's next?
Habit 6, synergize. This is where the magic really happens, building on all the previous habits.
Synergy, that 1 + 1 = 3 or more idea.
That's the one. It's about creative cooperation, valuing differences in perspectives, experiences, strengths.
So it's more than just teamwork or compromise.
Oh, much more. Synergy is when the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. You leverage those differences to come up with new, better solutions that no one could have thought of alone.
Like the best kind of brainstorming session, but deeper?
Sort of, yeah. It requires high trust, which comes from win-win thinking and empathetic listening. It's about genuinely believing that other people's perspectives add value, even when, maybe especially when they're different from yours.
Embracing diversity of thought to create something new.
Exactly. It's teamwork on steroids, fueled by the previous habits.
Okay, private victory, public victory, habits 1 through 6. That feels like a complete system, but there's one more.
The crucial one that keeps it all going, habit 7, sharpen the saw.
Because you are the saw, right? You're the asset.
You are your most important tool, absolutely. This habit is about continuous self-renewal, keeping yourself effective.
And Covey breaks this down into 4 areas.
Yep. 4 key dimensions you need to consistently invest in: physical exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management. Mental reading, learning, planning, writing, thinking critically.
Makes sense.
Social emotional building relationships, empathy, linking back to habit 5, service to others.
Right.
And spiritual connecting with your core values. Habit 2 again, meditation, prayer, spending time in nature, whatever renews your spirit.
It's holistic. You need to work on all 4.
Ideally, yes. Neglecting any one area eventually impacts the others. If you burn out physically, your mental and emotional states suffer. If you stop learning, you stagnate.
And some people might see this as selfish, taking time for yourself.
Covey argues it's the least selfish thing you can do. It's essential maintenance. Sharpening the saw doesn't take time from work. It makes the work possible and more effective long-term. It prevents burnout and makes all the other habits sustainable.
It's the fuel. Okay, so that's the whole framework. Powerful stuff. But like any major work, it's not without its critiques or nuances.
There's right. No framework is perfect for everyone in every situation. Some people, for instance, find the language a bit corporate at times.
Yeah, terms like paradigm shift or abundance mentality can feel a little business speak, maybe.
They can. And it reflects Covey's background in organizational consulting.
Yeah.
Also, the sheer depth. It can feel overwhelming at first.
It's not a quick fix.
Definitely not. Applying these habits consistently takes real discipline. It's a lifelong journey, not something you master in a weekend seminar.
And what about the criticism that it puts maybe too much emphasis on the individual?
That's another point sometimes raised. Critics might say it downplays systemic issues like poverty, discrimination, or toxic work environments that can make it really hard for individuals to be effective, no matter how proactive they try to be.
Saying just be proactive might feel simplistic if you're facing huge external barriers.
It's a valid concern. The context definitely matters.
But despite those nuances,
Yeah, I think you have to come back to the core principles. Proactivity, integrity, empathy, seeking mutual benefit, continuous growth.
Yeah.
These things remain incredibly powerful and, frankly, universally applicable.
the framework itself gives you tools, even if the external situation is tough.
Exactly. And I think that's why it still resonates so strongly after all these decades. We live in a world that's often obsessed with shortcuts, hacks, looking good fast.
The personality ethic is alive and well.
It really is. But Covey offers this timeless, principle-centered foundation. It's not about just doing more things or doing things faster.
It's about doing the right things.
For the right reasons, in the right way, and becoming a fundamentally better, more integrated person in the process. That kind of effectiveness built on character, that's what truly lasts.
It cuts through the noise.
It really does.
So, wrapping this up for everyone listening, if you're feeling maybe tired of the quick fixes and you want to build something genuinely effective, something meaningful from the inside out,
This is the blueprint.
The 7 Habits really is more than just a book. It's like an operating system for your life. It'll challenge you, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
It'll inspire you, and it gives you the tools, but don't expect miracles overnight.
Be patient with yourself. Pick it up. Start practicing. Maybe focus on one habit first.
We really think you won't regret the investment in yourself.
Absolutely. And maybe, as a final thought to leave you with, reflecting on everything we've talked about today, if you had to pick just one habit, just one, to really commit to starting right now, today, which one would it be?
And why?
Yeah, and why do you think that specific habit would make the most immediate, profound difference in your life right now? Something to chew on.